Falcon and the Winter Soldier have completed their first season, or maybe I should say Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and we now have our new Captain America, Sam Wilson. Now, typically in my comic origins videos, I take a look at the historical origin of a character, break down their first appearance, and do a brief look at their complete comic history, and today we'll be doing, well, the same thing, except just slightly different. Considering the cultural relevance and importance of Sam Wilson taking over the mantle of Captain America, today I wanted to take a look at the events that led to Sam Wilson becoming Captain America in the comics. So that being said, let's take a look at the comic book history of Sam Wilson as Captain America. Sam Wilson made his comic book debut as Captain America in issue Psych! Let's actually go back in time a little bit so that you can understand the events that actually led to Sam adopting the mantle of Captain America. When Captain America was relaunched as part of the new Marvel Now initiative in 2013, Rick Remender took over writing Captain America. The first issue saw a number of changes to the book, mostly with relation to Steve's parents, specifically his father. The book saw Steve clash with an eco-terrorist who called himself, the Green Skull. In the final showdown, we see Steve stop a doomsday scenario similar to the ending of the first Avenger. However, toward the end of the issue, we see Steve and Sharon Carter enter a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. elevator in a subway station, presumably leading them to a S.H.I.E.L.D. base. However, when Steve enters the subway train, he's transported to Dimension Z. We learn that Steve was brought to Dimension Z by his longtime foe Arnim Zola. Zola is surrounded by an army of mutants, genetically created to do his bidding from the other beings in that dimension. Steve is able to escape the lab, and he also takes a young child with him, and we learn that the child was a genetically created son for Arnim Zola. The series follows Steve as he lives in this Zola-controlled dimension for years upon years, even contemplating suicide out in the wilds brought on by starvation. He raises Zola's son in the wilds of Dimension Z and names him Ian. Over a number of years, Steve battles Zola's forces, and after a time he eventually escapes. However, Steve is deeply affected by the decades he spent in the dimension. I know I've only been talking about Steve Rogers so far, but I promise Sam Wilson will be in this video. Steve returns from Dimension Z, and he next encounters a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Ran Shen, who had become disillusioned with S.H.I.E.L.D. during his tenure working for the group. Shen, at the height of his abilities, was said to be only rivaled by Nick Fury as a spy. However, Shen sought to destabilize the West, who he believed was being overrun by capitalism and corporate interference. Shen is able to track down a Malkin, a cosmic dragon named Nyan, who deems him worthy of his power. Nyan transforms him into the Iron Nail, a new creature, and he emerges years later ready to complete his quest. Also, fun fact, the Malkin race has another very famous character in the Marvel Universe named Fing Fang Foom. Shen manipulates the super soldier Nuke into a number of deadly conflicts with S.H.I.E.L.D., Cap, and Falcon, and eventually Shen was able to command Gungnir, a giant transformer-like S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier with tremendous firepower. Cap, Falcon, and the forces of S.H.I.E.L.D. attempt to stop Iron Nail. During this battle with Iron Nail, Steve was pierced by one of his tendrils, which were somehow able to extract the super soldier serum from Steve's body. This causes him to rapidly de-age into an old man. Fortunately, Steve was able to blow up Gungnir with an insane shield throw into the reactor, saving the world and killing Shen in the explosion. This battle led to quite a bit of changes in the Captain America corner of the Marvel Universe, and it's also become part of a new arc known as All New, All Different. Arnim Zola returns from Dimension Z and attempts to destroy New York City in retaliation for Captain America's interference in his previous plans. He lures all of the Avengers into New York to do battle with his army of mutants, but his ultimate goal is to use the battle as a distraction. Zola was secretly planning to blow the entire city up with all of the heroes in it at one time. Sam Wilson is able to grab the bomb and flies it into the upper atmosphere where it detonates, saving all of the Avengers, and I guess everybody else in New York. Sam is brought back down and for a brief second believed dead before regaining consciousness. Zola manages to escape back to his own dimension, and the Avengers regroup and are informed of the events that have transpired. After the battle, Cap jokingly refers to himself now as General Geriatric, which nobody laughs at. But he does introduce the Avengers to the new Captain America, Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson's first appearance as Captain America is in Captain America 25. Sam goes on to act as Captain America, working for S.H.I.E.L.D. for a period of time and taking down new and remaining sects of Hydra. Captain America was relaunched as All New Captain America, and Sam's first adventure brings him into direct conflict with Baron Zemo, Red Skull's daughter Sin, Batroc the Leaper, Crossbones, and a literal gauntlet of classic Cap villains. Sam attempts to free an Inhuman from captivity named Lucas, whose blood was found to have a contagion in it that would sterilize the human race. Hydra was planning on using this Inhuman to sterilize the human population and recreate it in their own image. Sam is able to locate Lucas and attempts to save him, but is shot by Lucas, who proves to be a double agent working for Hydra. We learn that the goal of Zola and Zemo's plan was to release flies and ticks with Lucas's blood in them all over the world. But in the midst of releasing all of these insects, Sam was able to use an army of birds to eat all of them, stopping the contagion from spreading. Ultimately, Zola and Zemo are stopped by Sam, but Baron Blood drank a significant amount of Lucas's blood and planned to blow himself up in the upper atmosphere as a contingency plan. He was confronted by Sam, and in the process, Blood spit some of Lucas's contagion into Sam's mouth, sterilizing him. Baron Blood was defeated by Sam, and the first threat as Captain America was officially neutralized. Sam's adventures continue, and they mirror the real-world political climate at the time, with Sam choosing to disassociate himself from S.H.I.E.L.D. and instead go on to work independently. Sam continues to act as an Avenger, and even for a brief period of time acts as a reserve member for the Mighty Avengers, which you can learn a little bit about in our video on Spectrum. Sam continues to act as Captain America for a number of years, but over time he becomes disillusioned with the role, and I'm going to hop around here a little bit and discuss the overarching themes and narrative events that caused Sam to return to the mantle of Falcon. First, there were the events of the Second Superhuman Civil War, appropriately named Civil War II. After a number of heroes die in battle with Thanos, Captain Marvel and Iron Man come to be at odds over an Inhuman who can essentially predict the future. Captain Marvel, Steve Rogers, and many other heroes believe that this Inhuman's powers should be used to stop crimes before they occur. Sam, though, aligns himself with Iron Man, who believes that stopping crimes before they are committed goes against the very notion of free will. Next, through the power of the sentient cosmic cube named Koblik, Steve Rogers is returned to his prime form. However, unbeknownst to everyone, Steve's history and allegiance had been rewritten by Koblik under the influence of the Red Skull. Steve acts as a sleeper agent for Hydra for a period of time, working to destabilize the greater Marvel universe. Perhaps you remember this classic meme from around that time. Lastly, Sam is greatly affected when an anti-hero named Rage encounters Man Mountain Marco and Speed Demon attempting to rob a pawn shop. Rage foils their effort but is accidentally arrested by the AmeriCops, a private security firm working to clean up the streets. Rage is sent to prison, and despite intervention from Sam Wilson, he's denied evidence that would prove that he's innocent. While in prison, Rage is badly beaten by other superpowered prisoners and put into a coma. This event causes the already greatly disillusioned Sam Wilson to quit being Captain America, no longer believing in what the S.H.I.E.L.D. represents. However, Sam does return to the mantle of Captain America. A massive crossover event called Secret Empire takes place that sees the forces of the Marvel Universe square off against Hydra and the forces of Captain America. Sam again acts as the symbol of America in order to revitalize the American spirit in this new Hydra-controlled United States run by a fascist Steve Rogers. This event sees a number of heroes' allegiances change due to the Cosmic Cube. Hydra Cap is shown wearing a full suit of battle armor powered by the majority of the Cosmic Cube, with Sam Wilson holding the last remaining piece. Sam gives Steve the last shard of the Cosmic Cube in his possession, and when the cube is reformed, Ant-Man sends a subatomic Winter Soldier into the Cosmic Cube where he's able to retrieve the real Steve Rogers and bring him back. The two Steves battle, with Hydra Cap eventually being defeated and erased from history. When Classic Steve is brought back, Sam gives him the shield and he returns to the mantle of Falcon. And that is about everything I wanted to cover with relation to Sam Wilson as Captain America. I'm really excited for Sam Wilson to be Captain America in the MCU, and I think it's going to lead to a number of really awesome stories. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, and if you did, please leave a comment down below and consider liking and subscribing.
Happy hunting, and we'll see you there. Alright, those of us who have seen Avengers Endgame know that at the very end of the movie, Old Man Cap gives his shield to Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, effectively passing on the mantle of Captain America. So today, we thought it'd be fun to talk about the comic book inspiration for that moment and how it all originally went down in Marvel's Captain America comics. Let's get into it. Before we can talk about Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, we have to first understand why he became Captain America. What happened to Steve Rogers in the comic version that caused him to pass on the mantle of Captain America? Well, it all started in issue 20 of the 2012 to 2014 Captain America series. At the beginning of the story arc, we see a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent known as Iron Nail, or Ran Shen, fool another Captain America villain named Nuke into attacking a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. base that held a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopter called Gungnir. As a fun side fact, that is also the name of Odin's spear. Anyway, Iron Nail would inevitably take control of Gungnir and essentially activate its ability to transform into a gigantic battling robot, which he then used to attack the country. Now, something like this would be a massive problem on any given day, but what made matters worse this time was that Captain America was basically the only hero left to stop this gigantic robot and Iron Nail. Even his right-hand man Falcon was grounded due to his wings being broken. But you know, that doesn't stop Cap. He went right at the beast and started trading blows with Iron Nail. However, he was losing the battle and the giant robot was running rampant in the city. Captain America then says to a wounded Maria Hill, "Maria, get up. How do I stop this thing?" She says, "Core reactor. Destroy the power source. It's the only way to stop it. Sub-level A1. So he runs out to destroy the core reactor saying, "If I manage to clean up this mess, we're gonna have a long talk." We then see him running to the A1 sub-level, where he encounters Iron Nail once again, who was of course trying to stop him from destroying Gungnir. Now, an important thing to mention here is that Iron Nail has the ability to drain the super soldier serum from Steve's body, meaning every time he faces off with him, Steve has to be extremely careful. But Cap is a true blue hero, and his main focus is ultimately never on himself. And in this moment, he's not gonna let anything stop him from destroying the core reactor. So Cap runs full speed towards the reactor to destroy it, but Iron Nail's tendrils stab Rogers in the back and begin to drain him of the super soldier serum. In a last-ditch effort, Captain America chucks his shield at the reactor, causing it to explode, and in turn, stopping Gungnir. But even though the giant robot was destroyed, the fight with Iron Nail wasn't over. Iron Nail proceeds to walk over to Captain America, and when he turns him over, we see that Rogers has been completely drained of the super soldier serum, and what is left is a dramatically aged Steve Rogers. It's a pretty crazy moment. But the villain still isn't satisfied, and he tells Rogers, "When your buddies get here, they're gonna find a corpse." Iron Nail then raises his blade in the air while saying, "You will never stand against me ever again." And just as he's about to deliver his final blow, Falcon comes flying in out of nowhere saying, "No, I will," and pretty much gives Iron Nail the people's elbow. Falcon then beats the crap out of Iron Nail and runs over to grab his buddy Steve and get them the heck out of there, leaving Iron Nail to die in an explosion. And the issue ends with Falcon, Maria Hill, and Fury tending to a withered old Captain America while flying away in a helicopter. Now, I said all that because it's the setup for Falcon to eventually take on the mantle of Captain America. So let's see exactly how that happens. The next issue, issue 22, starts our journey to Falcon Captain America. The issue begins with a tear in the 616 reality. Now, what's behind this door to another dimension, you ask? Well, the armies of Armin Zola, longtime villain of Captain America. Initially, Zola was using his army to distract the Avengers so he could go after Cap, but Red Skull later informed him that Steve Rogers is no longer a problem, because Iron Nail has put the good Captain on the ropes. While all this is going on, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and Thor are trying to figure out a cure for Rogers. Simultaneously, a mysterious man in gold armor breaks into Avengers Mansion, so Banner hulks out, and him, Thor, and Iron Man group together, and Iron Man says, "Avengers assemble." After a pretty epic battle with this mysterious dude, Steve still proves he's got some skills left even though he's an old man, as he's able to knock this mysterious guy on his butt, having his hand on his throat ready to knock him out with his cane. But at this point, the guy takes off his helmet and reveals himself to be Ian Rogers, Steve Rogers' son from another dimension. Crazy, I know. Anyway, we find out that Ian is on the side of the Avengers and reveals to them Zola's plans and how to stop him. This would lead to the Avengers to come into conflict with the Unavengers, whose motto is Unavengers, Unassemble. A little weird, but hey, what are you gonna do? While all this is going on, elsewhere, Falcon and Zola's daughter Jet are making their way to stop Zola. But when they get to the top of his tower, they instead find Sharon Carter, Rogers' love interest, who is being held captive. We also learn that she's the one who raised Ian Rogers in the other dimension, after Steve left thinking his son was dead. All of this eventually leads to a massive battle between the Avengers and Zola's armies, because the Avengers are trying to shut down Zola's breeding devices. Which I realize sounds extremely dirty, but it's not. Eventually, though, the heroes realized that the mutates were just distractions to lead the heroes into one spot so that Zola could set off a giant bomb, destroying them all. Falcon then realizes they only have seconds remaining before the bomb goes off, so he grabs it and flies as high as he can into the sky. While this is happening, Steve back at headquarters says through their comms, "What are you doing?" Sam says, "You and Sharon deserve some peace, Steve. Promise me you'll find some. Take some time. You know, smell the flowers." Steve replies, "We all will, Sam, together. I promise. You get that bomb far enough and turn around." Sam replies, "Stop it. There's no time, Steve. Just do like I said. Don't you go on killing yourself. You served your time, soldier. Be with your son. Marry Sharon, because I promise. If you don't," and then boom, the bomb suddenly goes off. And then in the next and final issue of the series, issue 25, the Avengers and heroes watch on in horror as they watch their friend Falcon die. Iron Man catches his fallen body and places him on the ground. Steve eventually comes over to see his best friend and in mourning says he grabbed the bomb and it was just in him. Everything he did was for everybody else. And then on the next page, Sam says, "Yeah, I mean, that dude had it all. Good looks and charm, that certain je ne sais quoi that made the ladies love him. Yeah, that's right, Sam lived because comic books." In any case, we find out he used his vibranium wings made by Tony Stark to shield himself from the explosion to save his life. The comic then jumps to 1 week later, where we see that Steve had called a massive meeting of pretty much every hero in the Marvel Universe. Steve basically tells all of them, "I will no longer be acting as Captain America. I'll be serving as a mission operator, doing my best to keep you safe while you do what you do best." So this isn't a solemn occasion, but in fact, a happy one. He continues to say, "To make it all official, I've called you here to introduce my replacement, and a man whom I love with all my heart. Avengers, allow me to introduce your new Captain America." And then on the next page, we see Falcon in his new Captain America costume. And Sam, being the funny guy he is, says, "You guys all knew it was me, didn't you? There's literally no drama left in this reveal. Still a pretty sexy costume, right?" Spider-Man replies, "Could use some sequence. Nothing more patriotic than sequence." Then Steve says, "It does feel like it's missing something, Sam." Then he lifts up his shield, to which Sam says, "Whoa, yeah, that." Steve then hands it to his friend, officially making him the new Captain America. And the comic ends with Sam saying, "Let's give it a whirl. Avengers, assemble." And that, my friends, is how Sam Wilson became Captain America in the comics. As you can see, the only similarities it has to Endgame is Steve being old and giving the shield to Falcon. But I think that was enough to give a nice little nod to the comics. In any case, what do you guys think of Sam Wilson's time as Captain America? Did you like it, hate it, or love it? Let us know in the comment section down below.